29th meeting of the Board of Zoning Appeals to order. We'll start with roll call. I'm Anthony Cyphers. Greg Zink.
Present.
Chuck Williams.
Present.
James Moore.
Present.
And we do have one vacancy. First order of business tonight, as our first meeting of the year, is the election of officers. So we have a president, vice president, and secretary. Currently, I'm the president, Chuck is vice, and then Lori was secretary. Do you guys want to retain and then nominate secretary?
Yeah. I'll stay as vice president.
I'll second that.
Okay. All right, all in favor for retaining president and vice president, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? All right, so we do need a secretary, and there are two options.
Greg.
So we have a nomination. Greg's been nominated, and Greg was about to nominate James.
I'll nominate Greg.
All right, Greg's been nominated by two.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye. All right, Greg is our new secretary. All right. Moving on, we just have one more item before we move on to our two hearings tonight. The date and the time of the meetings. It was brought to me, the mayor and then Gina had brought up that it might behoove us to move the Board of Zoning Appeals meetings to the hour before Plan Commission meetings. Just from a resource and time standpoint, seems like it would make a lot of sense. So
do the last Monday of the month at 6 o'clock.
Correct.
With
So last Monday of the month at 6 o'clock with Plan Commission to follow at 7.
You need a motion
Yeah, if
I'll
you
make
guys
a
are okay
motion
with that.
to move it to Monday night before
All right.
the planning commission meeting.
I'll second that.
Motion's been made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right. Next, tonight, we do have two public hearings. I am going to go out of order because I believe most people are here for the first hearing, and I think there are two people here for the second hearing. So just to respect their time, it's probably going to be really quick, and then they can get out of here and we can move on to the other hearing. So a little bit about how this works. We will invite the petitioner up to sort of state their case, let us know what they are asking of us. We'll ask questions, get some more information. At that point, we'll go ahead and have public comment, so anyone here who wants to speak can. We can impose a 5-minute limit on people speaking. For the sake of time, if someone has already said something, please avoid redundancies. You're welcome to come up and speak, but if everyone's up here saying the same thing over and over, it kind of just drags on and isn't really productive. So after public comment is closed, we'll have the petitioner come back up. We can ask more clarifying questions. And at that point, we take all the information we have and take it under consideration, and we decide whether to approve or not approve. So,
Do you want me to give a little spiel on the elements and the factors to be considered? Okay.
well, if you don't mind, let's go ahead.
Yeah, but
Let's do
each
2026-2 first.
Yeah, and each one of them are use variances, so this will be applicable to both of the hearing items tonight. Both are variances of use. The Board of Zoning Appeals may approve or deny variances of use from the Salem zoning ordinance. According to the Salem zoning ordinance, a use variance may be approved when such use is not contrary to the public interest. It's due to conditions peculiar to the property, and not the result of the actions of the applicant. The literal enforcement of the Salem zoning ordinance would result in unnecessary and undue hardship. The Indiana Code, specifically 36-7-4-918.4, says that a use variance may be approved only upon a determination from the Board of Zoning Appeals that, first, the approval will not be injurious to the public health, safety, morals, and general welfare of the community. Second, that the use and value of the area adjacent to the property included in the variance will not be affected in a substantially adverse manner. Third, that the need for the variance arises from some condition peculiar to the property involved. Fourth, that the strict applications of the terms of the zoning ordinance will constitute an unnecessary hardship if applied to the property for which the variance is sought. And fifth, the approval does not interfere substantially with the city's comprehensive plan. So again, in order to approve a use variance, there must be a determination that each one of those factors have been satisfied.
Thank you. With that, we'll go ahead and we'll start with docket number 2026-2, which is Mrs. Dawson. If you don't mind coming up here, please. And if you don't mind, once you get up here, if you'll state your name and address for the record.
Name and address of
Your address.
my personal, okay. Kelsey Dawson, my address is 1400 North Shelby Street, Salem, Indiana.
Thank you. All right, so what do you have going on with this lot with a pole barn on Market Street?
Yes. I'm gonna try not to say too many words. My husband said brevity. So, we recognized that there was a need in town to have somewhere for kids to be able to go, especially during the winter, that's inside where they can run around and have community with each other and connect with each other. It's been a topic on social media for years. Everybody's saying, why doesn't somebody do this? Me and my husband are in a position where we are lucky enough to have a rental property and have enough to be comfortable, but we thought, okay, I guess if somebody's gonna step up and do this, then we should do our best. We have no clue what we're doing. We have no really reason to be the people doing this, but we've had foster kids through our house. We still get them regularly, even though they're back with their parents. We just had them today, and even to this day, we don't have a place in Salem to take them other than McDonald's playground when it's snowy and they need to get out and exercise and move around and play together. So we mortgaged a building at 1000 West Market Street. It's an auction barn. You guys are all from around here, so I'm assuming you know a little bit about it. It's on 5 acres, and what we would love to do is be able to make it kind of a faith-based community center where it's safe and kids can come and play and interact, and we really don't know what the plan would even be at this point, except that we've purchased the building now, and we are just taking this step by step, and any hurdles that come at us, we are hoping to work through, and if this is God's will, then we will keep working through the hurdles, and if it's not, then we'll turn it into a place for family reunions. So right now it is zoned residential 1. We would ideally like to make it do a special use permit to be able to hopefully accommodate people to come and use it as a community center. The inside would be a place that people could potentially come and play pickleball and use the playground. Moms could come and use it during the day. Homeschool people could come and use it as a place to get out of the house a little bit. And then eventually the ideal situation would be to develop the 5 acres and do we have no idea, but zip lines, and if the city doesn't end up doing a splash pad, eventually maybe that could be something we would do. And we're not trying to compete with the Y. I've already met with the Y. We're not trying to compete with the city. What we're trying to do is fill in needs that the city has that nobody else is doing, that we know that the community needs. So we are very open to whatever we would need to change to be able to make it happen. If anybody opposed it because they felt like it would be a disruption to their neighborhood, we would be open to suggestions to making it so it was doable, and that everybody was happy with it. We I guess that's where we're at right now.
So, point of clarification, I guess where we're at is this auction barn is zoned R1. So the prior use, the use of it forever has not been R1, and to do anything moving forward, we're gonna need a use variance granted. Pretty much any use of that pole barn is going to require a variance. All right, does anyone else have any questions right away? Okay, you could go ahead and take a seat for now. All right, so is anyone here for public comment related to this hearing? If you are, please go ahead and come up front here. Please state your name and address for the record here.
My name is Olivia Jones. My address is 114 Standish Street.
Thank you.
I own the property at the end of that butts up right next to it. And before it gets turned into anything, I would just like to know what it's going to be used for. Because there is things that I would not like to have in my backyard. You know, anything that's going to bring a lot of people late at night, I am not interested in that. You know, I don't have a lot of company, but I do have my grandchildren over there, and they're used to being able to run around back there. I would not like something that brings a lot of vehicles back there. If that would be, you know, right now it's just a yard. I know that things need to progress, but is that really somewhere we want that to be at? I just don't know. You know, I'm not sure exactly what they're talking about putting in there. Doesn't sound like she really knows what they're planning on putting in there. So it's hard to say if I am for it or against it at this point, because they don't even know what they're gonna put in there. But if it's like anything that's gonna bring a lot of traffic, I'm just not even really down for that. That's about all I got to say.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Does anyone else have public comment? If you would, please come up here.
My name is Janae Francis, and I actually live across the street, but I own property that butts up against that. I would love to see something here for the kids, but I do have a question for Ms. Dawson.
I'm sorry. Anything has to be addressed to us, and then we'll direct questions next.
She said stuff about a zip line and stuff through the back. You know, I just think before they make those decisions, they should go over there during periods of heavy rain, because that turns into a lake back there beyond that property. All the water from up on our properties, which are uphill, run down and gather between that and the cemetery. Just, that's something that might need to be mitigated or looked at. But I would be satisfied with a fence across the back to divide my property from whatever they want to do back there. I think it would be great. Plus, I think it also connects to the walking trail. At least through the cemetery it does, I believe.
Okay.
So that's a great thing. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Anybody else before we go ahead and close public comment? All right, if you wouldn't mind coming on back up here. So I think a point that got brought up, which is very valid, is in granting a use variance, you can't be too vague about what exactly are you granting the variance to do. That's not to say that can't, at a future date, if it's things slightly change and you need to go ask again, not saying
Yeah.
that's something you can't do. But as far as this goes, let me find it on here. Right now, what your variance is asking for is basically a nonprofit community center with indoor and outdoor recreation. From the sounds of it, the outdoor recreation part, could be any number of things. Is that fair to say? And
Yes.
At an undescribed future date, if and when it becomes feasible, is that fair to say?
Yes.
Okay. I don't know, from the building itself, talking just the building, I mean, anyone feel free to chime in with me. Forget about outside for just a second, but just the building being used for this use, a community center, geared more towards children's activities. I don't see it negatively impacting or being contrary to the requirements. Now, outside, because we don't know, and that those are long-term things, I don't really.
Can we ask for them to give them the variance for the building itself for now, and then let them come back, or that's for the whole?
It's for the whole property.
Well, so what you can do is you can impose reasonable conditions on an approval if you want to approve in a more narrow sense. So something that you may consider if you're inclined to approve it, and if there's some question marks about what the nature of the outdoor recreation improvements or things that you might do out back would be, is you could approve the use of the structure for the recreation that they're seeking, and then require them to come back to the plan commission, or go to get staff approval in the alternative for, before they go and say if it's zip lining, or if it's a baseball diamond or a soccer field or whatever outdoor recreation it can be, basketball court, before proceeding to do that, and require a second approval for that. That's something you could consider doing. Do you know what hours of operation you would consider having?
Not after dark.
Okay.
And I'm sorry that I didn't clarify that. And I will also say, we had a very distinct idea in mind, and we've kind of opened it up to being more vague now because a class at IU, they do a business development plan for nonprofits around Indiana, and they spend a whole class semester preparing like a strategic plan, and they pick one project in Indiana per semester. And the Washington County Community Foundation presented our project to a professor at IU, and they had it narrowed down to 2 different projects, and they chose ours. And so they're coming August 3rd on site, and they're gonna develop a whole plan for us. So we kind of wanted to leave it vague in case they wanted to kind of create what they would think, as kids or college kids who just came from being kids, what their dream layout would be for a community center in their towns. So we had kind of envisioned, and I mean, our 10-year-old daughter drew out a big map of what she would love to have there, but it was more like Huber style, just backyard, naturescapes. We're not planning on having roller coasters, and we would love to have roller coasters, but it's all gonna be wooden structures and very family friendly. And we had figured that as part of a courtesy to the neighbors that we would do a privacy fence for everybody's sake. Probably insurance would require it on our end anyway. But I'm so sorry, I forgot the question, but I had forgotten to say that's kind of why we were vague about what is going back there.
Yeah, so I mean, again, along some of the concerns that have been brought up, and the maybe lack of specificity with what the plan of action is with the property, you could give a conditional approval and seek or require further approvals if they're going to, go beyond the building and start doing some different things outdoor aside from just letting kids kind of just play outside. But again, you can also impose reasonable restrictions on, hours of operation, things like that. But I do think it's also important to say too that, there is a noise ordinance, there are lighting ordinances that are also already in place that anybody has to abide by anyway. So those are also there as a backstop to whatever you would condition in the approval.
I think it'll be a good thing for the community for you to try. And the building, I think, is suitable for what you're wanting to do. You've got ample parking and everything there. So, but on the outside of, in the backfield, you'll come back and check with Ronnie and see if he thinks that he can approve what you want to do or it needs to come back through the board. We'd go that way, but I'll give a favorable vote.
Okay, so Chuck, let me restate. Motion made to grant approval for the conditional approval
Of the building.
for the building, assuming that any outdoor structure activities would need to be at the least brought before Ronnie, and assuming they might also need some sort of variance, it might come back before the board at that point.
I got you.
However, the use variance for the use of the building on the property as a nonprofit community center with indoor and outdoor recreation would be approved.
Granting this variance to her, we allow her to come up with a plan to cement in the state of Indiana, it has to have a state release.
Right.
But they don't even want to hear it unless the zoning is correct on what variance has been issued.
Right. All right, so the motion has been made. Does anyone want to second Chuck's motion?
I second that.
Motion made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? All right. Thank
Thank
you
you,
very
guys.
much. All right. We're now going to move on to docket number 2026-01. Who is here to represent the applicant for? If you wouldn't mind, would one or both of you come up and thank you. All right, could you go ahead and state your name and address for the record?
My name is Steve Ruth. I live at 635 South Tristan Court.
Thank you. All right, so we have this application here, and who are you to the applicant?
He's my son.
Thank you.
So is by he's your son, would that be is he the sole owner of the LLC that's the applicant?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, so it looks like the use variance is being sought because the parcel is currently zoned RR, and the desired improvements on the property would be a duplex or a multifamily structure, and
Right.
RR does not allow for multifamily, is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay. Jacob, I'm not sure if it's relevant or not, but is the why a duplex, is that even a question to ask, or is that irrelevant?
I mean, no,
Why?
you're free to ask
Okay.
questions like
I
that.
mean, just a little background on, I see the address is a different state. What's the,
He lives in Wyoming, and he's the CEO of a power company out there, High West Energy. He's from here, raised here. Most people know him. Most people know us. But me and my wife are both 70 years old. He's been after us to downsize, and he bought this piece of property for that purpose. In the meantime, we had another family member, same age as us, well, a family friend. She's thinking about the same thing, and he said, hey, you wanna build, I'll build a duplex. Her take one side, us take the other. It'd be a nice piece of property. He wants a concrete driveway. It would be set up nice. He's not gonna put in anything that would cause any problems.
Is that on?
Can you check, Ronnie? Sorry.
Yeah, it should be on.
It should be.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah, he's gonna speak into it.
Okay.
Yeah, if you
all
don't
right,
mind
okay.
lean a little bit, and it's hard to hear back there.
Okay. But yeah, it'd be, he's not gonna cause any problems. It's not gonna be rented. It's not gonna be rented out to other people, in and out, things like that. We're not gonna
Not to
cause any
pull it to its
problems.
There you go.
We won't be causing anybody any problems, you know, it's just, he thought about just building us a house, you know, just, and then he said, well, she wants to move up here too, and, she wouldn't be no problem, she's a widow, kinda looks out for her and things, so, you know, it's not a, and it, property's already perk tested, it perked good, you know, so he's, you know, taking care of just about anything. The only thing, if we got the variance, we're still looking at the cost is what's gonna come in, you know, that may negate anything. But it's, he's got an architect working on the plans, the outside plans and things, so it's, you know, and that's what he went to Purdue for, was construction engineering, and he owns some other properties in other states, but he's trying to just help his parents.
Okay. So I see here's what appears to be a potential floor plan for the
Yes.
duplex.
That's, you know, that's the potential. The architect's working with it. He wants to make sure everything's up to code and, you know, everything's
Gotcha.
set right.
Does anyone up here have any questions at this time for Mr. Ruth? Okay, well, for now, thank you. We're gonna follow the same format as last time, where we'll have public comment, and then we'll probably be calling you back up.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much. All right, there are several people here, I think, to make public comments, so we'll kind of just, we'll be respectful of each other and kind of pick an order and just go in that order. Who would like to start? And if you could, state your name and address.
My name is Sarah Lease, and I live at 289 South Beta Road.
Okay, all right, the floor is yours.
So I get, okay, I guess I'm trying to understand zoning.
Sure.
So right now it's zoned as an RR. If it's changed to an R, the question is for permission to zone it as a,
It's a good question. I see where your confusion is. What's being asked is for a use variance, not a rezoning of the
Okay.
parcel. It's the difference between saying, I would like to change the zoning of this particular parcel from A to B forever, as opposed to the zoning is this, and I am seeking a use variance for any number of reasons. So the reason here is they're wanting to build a duplex in an RR. Technically, multifamily is not a listed permitted use.
And yeah, I mean, I guess functionally too, and it's a little bit of a difference in procedure. I think it could end up in the same place. So, a use variance, and I recited the criteria, and I can again, here in a moment. Basically, this board has kind of the exclusive decision-making from a zoning decision standpoint on whether to grant or deny use variance. But in order to do so, it has to determined based upon an application, the information provided by the applicant, and then whatever information that, someone such as yourself who may come up and speak at a public hearing, take that information into account and determine whether the 5 statutory criteria have been satisfied in order to be able to grant a use variance. So that's basically saying, property is zoned to this isn't a permitted use here, I'd like to do it, and I think I've satisfied these 5 criteria in order to do it, and then they have to prove it to the board, and then the board grants it. A rezone would be, in this circumstance, again, it's RR, a duplex or attached single-family dwellings not allowed in RR. It is allowed in our R3 zone. So hypothetically, if the applicant were to say, I would like to rezone this from RR to R3 in order to be able to, by right, build this type of dwelling, then they would submit an application to the Plan Commission. Plan Commission would have a public hearing just like this on the application for a rezone. And then the Plan Commission would either give a favorable, an unfavorable, or no recommendation. And then it would go to the City Council, and the City Council would have the final say in whether to rezone the property or not, because a rezone is technically an ordinance or an amendment to the zoning ordinance. And only the council can amend an ordinance. The Board of Zoning Appeals can just make its very specific set of zoning decisions that the Indiana Code allows it to make. So that's a bit of a procedural background on the difference between the two. But again, I think the most important thing is with a rezone, it's really up to the legislative discretion of the City Council to make that decision. Whereas with a use variance, there's discretion with the Board of Zoning Appeals, but it has to find that it's satisfied the 5 statutory criteria in order to do that.
So our biggest concern was what it was gonna get used for, rental versus home ownership. It sounds like it's gonna go into home ownership, which is much better, in my opinion, than having renters constantly in and out, because renters don't typically hold as high of, to their property as a homeowner does. How does it work? So if you give a variance, how does that work if they should pass away and it's still under the same owner if the son owns it, but now they're no longer living in that? Can he change that to a rental, or does that require more?
So with the variances for the use, like having the structure there. So it's just that type of structure is not allowed on that site without either a variance or rezoning it to a zone that does allow it. The rezone just goes until the property were to be, say, zoned again and somebody
Right.
quit using it, but I'll save you some of the details there. With a variance, there are times in which the board can say this variance is only for the applicant, and when the applicant ceases to own the property, the variance goes away. From a practical standpoint, where the variance is to build a certain type of structure that would not otherwise be permitted, that functionally really doesn't happen in that circumstance. You would need it to run with the land, or so long as the structure is on the property, because you don't want a circumstance in which you've approved it, someone's built a structure, and when, say, they move and want to sell it, they've got to tear it down, essentially. It kind of, I think it would defeat the purpose of what the applicant's seeking, and then it becomes an enforcement issue for the city to compel someone to remove the structure. So there's a little bit of a practical issue with that.
Okay. All right. I think it answers most of my questions. But yeah, thank you.
Yeah, thank you. All right. Was there more public comment?
I got a question I want to just ask the board.
Sure.
This has nothing to do with anything other than to rezone, right?
This has nothing to do with anything other than the
The use
use
variance.
variance to build a duplex on the parcel, correct?
Okay.
That's the only thing being sought is the ability for that in the application.
And it's only that block of property.
Only this specific lot, nothing, no other lot, just this one specific lot. What's being asked is a variance to build a multifamily home, a 2-unit home, basically. Yep. That is the only thing being asked in the application. Does anyone, do we need to invite the applicant back up for additional questions? Does
Yeah,
anyone
we
have
got
it?
Steve, come on back up here a minute. So you plan on putting a blacktop drive in and things like that, or
He's wanting to put in concrete.
concrete?
Because he
Okay.
said it's there. You don't
Right.
have to maintain it as much and, you know, and naturally up front it's gonna cost more, but
Right,
over a
right.
period of years, you know, it's, and, he's very particular, you know, and Chuck, you know I am too.
Yeah, oh, I know, yeah, yeah.
But, we don't, you know, like I say, I can't guarantee what will happen to this property. Something happens to me and my wife or the other person. From what he's wanting to do when he retires, move into it. Him and his wife. His in-laws live a couple of miles from there, you know, and he said if something happens to one of us, one side, he'd come in to stay in that one. And, you know, so it's not something he's planning on moving us out and start renting it in and out. But he owns some rental property in a couple other places in other states, and they've had some issues, and the people's not there now. I mean, they don't mess with it, you know, he don't want anything tore up, no problem. So he's very particular, you know, and it wouldn't be, like I say, I don't want to think I'm at my point in life to where I need to do something like this, but I am. You know, we're just ready to do something different, you know, so. And he's trying to help us that way.
Right, right. And like I said, you'll have proper drainage for everything and.
Yeah, the lot lays real good.
Lays good,
It's
right.
good, and he had a perk tested just to make sure before we even started this, because he said there's no use to even try to do this if it won't perk right. And there's a guy from Corden, Kyle Nix, and I think he's the head of some water board or something. He does construction, septic systems, up on everything. He's went out and checked it, and he said, I can put in this type of system, and he said it would be fine, you know, with stuff. And he talked to Chris Bowling about it and things, and Chris said, yeah, he knows Kyle, and he does good work, so. But there's, and you know, as far as, we'd be a good neighbor, we don't bother anybody, you know? So we don't want any of the neighbors to think that there's gonna be an issue with us, you know, we don't have any pets. The lady that's moving in's got 2 little bitty dogs, but she keeps them in the house, you know, so there's no issue with anything like that.
Understand. All right. Board, seeing as it's just to me, this one really is the peculiarity of the ordinance as strictly written, so that's my
Right.
2 cents right there.
Right. You got anything to say?
I mean, it's gonna be a residence 50 years from now too, so.
Yeah, it's not gonna be something that's gonna be a problem, you know, he'll keep it now, like I say, we can't guarantee what it'll be 20 years from now, 50 years from now, you know, I mean, nobody can, you know, I mean, with any of the neighbors, something could happen to one of them, and the next person moves in might not be real desirable, you know, you can't really control a lot of things, but.
My neighbors thought that about me when I moved in.
Well, you know, Yeah. But if you guys got any more questions, I mean, we'll answer them. If you don't, we'll find out for you.
I think we're ready to go ahead and,
I'll make
Make
the motion to approve docket 2026-01.
motion's been made.
I'll second that motion.
Motion's been made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? All right. Thank you very much, sir.
Okay, thank you.
All right, with that, we'll go ahead and move to close the public hearing for the evening. We don't need to vote on that, do we? Okay.
You've already,
Move to close
you've
the
already
public meeting.
approved it.
The only thing then that we need to do, unless anyone has any new business tonight, is have a motion to adjourn.
I make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second that.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Meeting adjourned.